What are some psychological life hacks you can do to give you an advantage in situations? I learned this one here a few years ago. For anyone in customer service, or works for many different situations, but CS is a big one. Put a mirror behind you at the counter. This way angry customers who approach you will have to see themselves in the mirror behind you, and the chances of them behaving irrationally lower significantly. No one wants to see themselves act like a donkhead. If you're in a group meeting and you suspect that someone in there might come after you about something, sit right next to them. They were hoping that the group would provide some sort of herd defense, but if you're right next to them it can't be anything other than personal. This tends to make them back off, or at least substantially temper what they say. Source: had a job with a huge target painted on my back for years. If you ask someone a question and they only partially answer, just wait. If you stay silent and keep eye contact, they will usually continue talking. My boss does this. Making excuses for being late was brutal. Me: I'm sorry I'm late. Car trouble. Silence. And terrible traffic. Silence. I overslept. Silence. I'll work late tonight. Boss: I own you. If you learn to make your statements, and confidently stand behind the silence after them, you'll make the interrogator the one who is on his heels. If you get yourself to be really happy and excited to see other people, they will react the same to you. It doesn't always happen the first time, but it will definitely happen next time. Chew gum when you're approaching a situation that would make you nervous, like public speaking or bungee jumping. I can't remember where I heard it, but apparently if we are eating something, our brains trip and it reasons, I would not be eating if I were in danger. So I'm not in danger. Has helped calm me a few times. I used to debate with a sandwich in high school. Well, not with an actual sandwich. I'd bring it for eating. Damn it sandwich, you're wrong. Pay attention to people's feet. If you approach two people in the middle of a conversation, and they only turn their torsos and not their feet, they don't want you to join in the conversation. Similarly, if you are in a conversation with a coworker who you think is paying attention to you, and their torso is turned towards you but their feet are facing in another direction, they want the conversation to end. You should check out Carol Kinsey-Goman's research on these types of things in the workplace. Foot in the door phenomenon. People are more likely to agree to do a task for you if you ask them to do something simpler first. Gradual commitment is a crazy thing. I've seen it happen, and there is nothing you can do. I think it's the other way around. You ask them to do an unreasonable task, and they'll say no, so then you ask for what you wanted, a much more reasonable task, and they are more likely to agree that way. Hey babe, will you prepare me some filet mignon over rice pilaf and some caviar? No. How about a sandwich? The physical effects of stress, increased breathing rate, heart rate, etc., mirror identically the physical effects of courage. So when you're feeling stress from any situation, immediately reframe it. Your body is getting ready to do courage, it's not feeling stress. A great example of cognitive reframing, researchers found that you do better when you appraise a stressful situation as a challenge, not a threat. In sales, though, I guess it could be applied in other ways. Once you make the sales pitch, don't say anything else. My boss at an old job was training me and just giving me pointers. I was working at a gym trying to sell memberships. He told me that once I got all the small talk out of the way and presented the prices, that the first person to talk will lose. It didn't seem like a big deal, but it actually worked. Often there were long periods of awkward silence, as the person tried to come up with some excuse, but usually they bought. It was quite impressive actually. For interviews, I recommend altering your psychological state beforehand. Tell yourself, I've known these people all my life. We're old friends catching up. I can't wait to see them. Visualize the experience, shaking hands, making eye contact, having conversation. What things can you not to wait to tell them? Hold an open pose, stand with your legs apart, hands on your hips, and shoulders back while doing this and smile. This may sound cliche, but you are in charge of your own psychological state, and the power of suggestion is strong. For interviews, I recommend altering your psychological state beforehand. Righto, pop some acid before my next interview, got it. So have you had any prior experience in this field? We're in a field? Almost did that once. One summer I picked up a job as a delivery driver at a pizza joint cause my friend worked there. Well, the day that I turned in my application, that friend and I bought some tabs from the manager, who regularly sold all the employees weed. The next day, about 30 minutes after we ate them, the manager calls asking if I can come in for an interview. I freaked out and made an excuse for why I couldn't come it, forgetting that she was the one that sold the acid to us. She made fun of me for it the next day. That job was chill as duck. When a group of people laugh, people will instinctively look at the person they feel closest to in that group. Read, wanna know who wants to bone who? Look at who they look at when everyone laughs. If someone else knew this trick and looked at you to see who you were looking at, and vice versa, you would both think you liked each other. Well, if that happens, those two should just get it on. Might as well, they already looked at each other. No going back at that point. When you first meet people, try to notice their eye color while also smiling at them. It might be because you look for a second or two longer, but all I can tell you is that people really respond to it. Every one of these, that's pretty good. I keep imagining a socially awkward Reddit user just completely ducking it up. Wow, what are you doing? Just staring at your eyes. They are blue. False attribution of arousal. When you take somebody out on a first date, take them somewhere exciting that will get their heart beating. For example, roller coaster or horror film. This gets their adrenaline up. It makes them think they enjoy spending time with you rather than the activity. You are in control of your emotions and thoughts. Try replacing some immediate responses. Tell yourself you're happy about something, or you're excited. Eventually your brain will end up believing it. That's the same for being down, and that's why you should never try to diagnose yourself. Saying you're depressed or have social anxiety would end up with you being more anxious and more depressed. You won't notice it at first, but over a few months it will have a pretty noticeable effect on your personality. I remember the last time this thread showed up, someone posted that if you ask someone to do you a small favor, cognitive dissonance will make them believe that because they did that favor, they therefore must like you. After all, why would they help someone they disliked? I don't have a source unfortunately, but I believe the original comment did, if anyone can find the previous thread. The best one I ever heard was, apparently, if you have a warm hand when you shake somebody's hand, you immediately become a more desirable person to get along with. Lesson: warm your hand in your pants before shaking hands with someone. When I worked in retail, I had a tendency to get real curt with rude customers. When I realized I was just taking the bait, I decided to be super nice even when they would get openly hostile. Some of them would get even crazier, and they looked like tools. After a person breaks up with someone, they are at their most vulnerable state for manipulation because of the flood of emotions. This could be used for the good or evil purposes. When my buddy broke up with his manipulative girlfriend, I made sure he had a good day. But I should have manipulated him. Maybe you manipulated him into thinking you're a great friend. No, I was genuine back then, but nowadays I don't trust him, hence my comment. Stand up straight, no slouching, hands out of pockets, and head held up high. It's not just a cliche, you literally feel better, and people around you feel more confident in you. Not always a must, but try to dress well for important occasions, including interviews. If you look good, you feel good, and if you feel good, you'll do good. In a negotiation setting, always start by anchoring, meaning start on a more radical extreme end of what you expect to get. That way, you and the other side can work to that result, rather than you locking yourself out of it. Avoid saying, I think, and I believe, unless absolutely necessary. These are phrases that do not evoke confidence, and will literally do you no good. When playing a game of cards with casual players, mutter to yourself the exact opposite of what you want to happen. So if you want your opponent to fold, then mutter, please don't fold, please don't fold. An overwhelming amount of times, the opponent will fall for the bait. When feeling anxious, clean up your house/apartment. You will feel happier and more accomplished than before. From an academic standpoint, this is mostly just armchair psychology, but from a real-world standpoint, these have all worked very well in my personal and professional lives. Promise yourself you'll never talk shit about other people. Even when the people around you are talking shit, even when you agree with the shit they're saying. You don't have to make a big deal of it, just don't partake in it. Once people get the idea you're not into saying mean shit about other people behind their backs, the amount of shit they talk around you will decrease. It isn't fun to talk shit unless everybody's talking shit. Your decision to stop talking shit and their eventual reaction to you not reciprocating the shit talking will positively affect both of you, as well as your relationship. I don't know, for me, since I made this change in how I interact with people, the amount and quality of my friendships has grown. People will trust you more if they haven't listened to you gossip about other people. You will be seen as more a more positive person than other friends who do talk shit. The gap gossiping used to fill will be replaced with way more interesting and or intimate conversation too. I don't know, just stop talking shit and be kind. Refer to people you've just met by their name. People loving being referred to by their name, and it will establish a sense of trust and friendship right away. Say your friend introduced you to Peter. After 5 minutes he decides to leave. Don't just say, bye, but instead say, bye Peter. When you are studying/learning something new, teach a friend how/about it. Let them ask questions. If you're able to teach something well, you understand it. Make it a practice to get rid of filler words and phrases such as, like, you know, etc. Instead use short pauses to gather your thoughts before speaking, though avoid Shatner-style pauses. Using filler words keys whoever you're talking to that you are thinking about what you're saying. Leaving them out makes these thinking spots less noticeable, since you aren't essentially announcing to the world that you are thinking, and makes you seem more sure of yourself. Late to the party, but if you're playing beer pong and your opponent is playing like he sold his soul to the devil, all you have to do is ask what he is doing with his opposite throwing hand. Damn bro, you're playing hella good. What are you doing with your left hand when you shoot? This will make him conscious of his left hand, and he will start messing up almost every time. Drink well my friends. If you're into psychological hacks, then you must read Get Anyone to Do Anything, also on iTunes audiobooks. It's a fascinating, easy to understand book written by a psychologist. The hacks are divided up into chapters. How to catch someone out on a lie, for example, brilliant technique. I gave this to an old manager I used to work with. He was having problems with a board member that hated him and wouldn't agree with any of his suggestions, regardless of how good they were. After applying techniques in the book, that all changed. I also used it to get a date with a woman who I considered way out of my league. It worked, I'm ashamed to say. So he is getting us to buy the book. That's some second level psychological manipulation. Edit, I meant it is deeper than the usual manipulation you experience through people. Also, I probably should have written next instead of second, but English is my second language.